Lucas thoughtfully stared at the monitor. His restaurant was only a month old, and there was still no possibility of hiring real security or a security service. Of course, he knew perfectly well that employees could cause harm. Some more, some less. Very often, people steal. The reasons for this are different, but he couldn't allow anything to go wrong in his restaurant because of this. Lucas had been saving money for his opening for more than a year. And now, when everything was going even better than he had planned, he was watching his dishwasher drag a large bag toward the exit. And he had only installed cameras 3 days ago. So she had been carrying things like this for a whole month. He stood up decisively. Theft needed to be nipped in the bud. Strange, of course. The girl was quite young, and she didn't seem like that type. But apparently she was very skillfully hiding her true face. In half an hour, the restaurant closes. The dishwasher and administrator leave last. By the way, the dishwasher exits through another door, which the administrator then locks. Although that door can't be opened from the outside, that explains why she doesn't know. She simply doesn't escort this worker out. Everything works out so conveniently for the dishwasher. He would make it just in time. Lucas lived literally 3 intersections from his restaurant. By car, it was only about 5 minutes. He drove up, turned off the headlights, and began to wait. Any minute now, that same dishwasher should appear. Victoria carefully adjusted her cap. Well, that's it. Today my little girl behaved well. Hold on a little longer. Now Mommy will walk a bit and take you out. Victoria checked everything once more. The holes made in the bag weren't covered. Angelina was comfortable. Half an hour ago, Victoria had fed her, so the baby would sleep soundly. She understood perfectly that this wasn't right, that if someone found out, they would simply take her daughter away from Victoria, but there was no other way. Victoria's milk had disappeared immediately. Formula cost so much that child benefits lasted only 2 weeks. And then there were diapers, utilities. The girl didn't know what to do for a long time, and then she learned about the opening of a new restaurant and about staff recruitment. When she came for the interview, she still didn't know how she would be able to perform her duties. She really needed the job, but her neighbor had warned her she could babysit Angelina no more than twice a week. And even then, Victoria would have to clean for her in return. When Victoria saw the place where she would work and realized that the dishwasher would be alone for now, a plan was born in her head. It was so unrealistic, so dangerous, that Victoria was even confused. And then she tried it. Angelina was only a month old when she came to work with her for the first time. The baby was so calm that she lay quietly, sleeping in the storage room where the spare dishes were kept. There was plenty of space there, and light too. And Victoria maintained cleanliness. Victoria had lost her parents in childhood. She lived with her grandmother. Her grandmother was a romantic nature. Things like household matters didn't interest the old woman at all. From age 10, Victoria herself handled all the household affairs. Andrew conquered her immediately. She didn't just fall in love, she went crazy. Grandmother had been gone for a year already, and the girl immediately suggested that Andrew move in with her. He agreed. True, as soon as he learned that Victoria was pregnant, he disappeared in an unknown direction, taking what little of value was in the apartment. Victoria didn't go to the police. She was so ashamed that she generally tried not to go outside. She almost managed, and everything would have been fine if those people hadn't come to her. They wanted her to sell them the apartment. She wasn't going to sell anything, and they said that she might accidentally be hit by a car on the street, and then her child would be an orphan. That same day, her milk disappeared. Completely. And then Victoria understood. Now the real trials were beginning. The job was simply salvation. They paid every week. She didn't need to think about food, and they had enough for everything. Victoria tried not to think about what would happen when Angelina turned 3-4 months old. She was strong, she was smart, she would manage. Although, lately, she very much doubted that she was strong and smart. Victoria carefully set down the bag, closed the door, turned around, and found herself face to face with the restaurant owner. "Oh. Oops." He mimicked her. "Show me what you're dragging in that bag. No restaurant can withstand stealing in such volumes." Victoria blocked the bag with her body. I've never stolen anything. Shame on you. I should be ashamed. Not you, but me." He laughed, then became serious. "Show me what you're carrying in the bag, or I'll call the police." Victoria sighed. There was nothing to be done, especially since Angelina had started stirring in the bag. She crouched down, opened the bag, and Lucas gasped. "A baby! Where from? Is this yours? You work with a baby?" Victoria, meanwhile, took Angelina in her arms. "Am I fired? Wait, what are you? Let me give you a ride. Do you live far?" "No, just around the corner." "Well, then I'll walk you. Here, give me this damn bag." Lucas understood perfectly that Victoria wasn't dragging such a tiny baby to work from a good life. He himself had lived a very difficult life with alcoholic parents. If he hadn't been taken away from them, who knows, maybe he would have become like them too. They reached the house, but Lucas had no intention of giving up. He went up with Victoria to the right floor, and when the girl looked at him meaningfully, he said, "I'd like a cup of tea." Victoria shrugged. She didn't mind the tea. Well, she couldn't really send him away. What if? Although no, he still wouldn't let her work with a baby. She quickly changed Angelina, made her a little formula, just enough to fall asleep. She had eaten just recently, and then she went to the kitchen, where Lucas was already making tea. He looked at her cheerfully. "I did a little housekeeping here." Victoria sat down and realized how tired she was. Not even physically, but mentally. All this tension. Will they find out? Won't they find out? Will they fire her? Won't they fire her? And she didn't understand how, but suddenly she started crying. Lord, what am I going to do now? Lucas sat down opposite, pushed a mug toward her. "Now tell me everything." "What?" She looked at him in surprise. "Everything. From the very beginning. Born, studied, and then in order." Victoria began to speak. She talked, sometimes sipping tea. She spoke and understood how unhappy she was. Everything in her life was different from other people's. Everything was backwards. But why? She didn't know the answer. While she was telling her story, Lucas didn't look at her. He himself wanted to cry, because he had experienced life's injustice to the fullest. "So, stay home for a couple of days. I'll call someone, and we need to figure something out in 2 days." "We?" "Well, I can't abandon you in such a situation, especially since you wash dishes well." "Okay, I'm going. Good night." He quickly stood up and left. Victoria didn't even have time to thank him. She sat a little longer and went to lock the door. In the hallway, on the nightstand, lay several large bills. Victoria leaned against the wall and cried again. The next day she had to exchange one bill after all. Angelina had developed a fever. The doctor who was called prescribed medicines and vitamins. The young mother had no choice but to quickly run to the pharmacy while Angelina was sleeping. Fortunately, she only needed to get to the neighboring house. She had just closed the door behind her when someone rang the doorbell. Her heart started pounding. She decided it was Lucas. Victoria quickly glanced in the mirror and threw open the door. She immediately tried to close it, but a young man's foot prevented her, and he smiled at her insolently. "Well, hello, lonely mommy. Why are you greeting guests so poorly?" He pushed her aside and entered the apartment. Another man and a girl came with him. They settled themselves at the table like they owned the place, and the girl began laying out some papers on the table. "Well, what? Have you thought about it?" "I've thought about it. Get out. Otherwise, I'll call the police." "Go ahead, call them, and we'll watch. Just keep in mind that along with the police, you're signing your own death sentence. Think about the child." Victoria gasped with indignation. "Who are you people? What do you want? I'm not selling any apartment." "You will. It's just that with each day of your stubbornness, your apartment becomes cheaper for you, so the sooner you agree, the more money you'll get." The young man named a sum, and Victoria laughed, though she was very scared. "Are you joking? That's the cost of a bathroom in this building." He smirked. "And in a couple of days, you'll agree anyway. only you'll get even less. Get out! I'm not selling anything. He moved toward her. Victoria cringed, but then the young man somehow strangely jumped up and crashed to the floor. Lucas stood behind him. He turned to those sitting at the table. Does anyone else need an explanation that the apartment is not for sale? The guests quickly disappeared, and Lucas turned to her. Why didn't you tell me anything about them? I didn't know they would come again. Victoria looked so frightened. His heart clenched, so tender, so defenseless. Pack up. Where to? Where you need to. He barked so loudly that Victoria immediately started crying. Sorry, you'll come to my place. I'm hardly ever home anyway, and it'll be safer for you there for now. God knows what these creeps will pull next. Victoria obediently went to pack her things. In 15 minutes they were leaving the apartment. A neighbor peeked out onto the landing. Victoria, did Daddy show up? Does this mean I don't have to babysit Angelina anymore? Does this mean you won't come to clean anymore either? Lucas smiled at her sweetly, very sweetly, baring his snow-white teeth. Exactly right. Now you'll have to clean up after yourself. The neighbor slammed the door in fright. Not a man, but some kind of beast. And Victoria had to get involved with someone like that. Although it seemed like someone else used to visit her. She waved her hand. The hell with them. Young people nowadays are such that it's better not to interfere. Angelina was examining the large apartment. It's beautiful here. It is now. You should have seen it when I first bought it. Just walls, everything broken, smashed. By the way, this will be your room. He threw open the door. Victoria noticed a men's robe and slippers. But this is your room. Don't use formal address with me. We're not at work. It's big and warm, so you'll live here, and I'll move to that one over there. He pointed to a door on the other side. It's somehow awkward. It's awkward to sleep on the ceiling. Make yourselves comfortable. I'll be right back. Lucas went somewhere. Victoria unpacked her things, then went to the kitchen to drink some water. In the sink was a pile of dirty mugs. It seemed Lucas only drank coffee at home. She washed the dishes, looked in the refrigerator. An hour later, cutlets were simmering on the stove, potatoes were boiling in a pot, and Victoria was cutting salad, smiling at Angelina, who was lying on the kitchen sofa, propped up with pillows. The door slammed. A sweaty Lucas burst into the kitchen. He sniffed the air. I'm so hungry. Come on, quickly. Victoria picked up Angelina and followed him. In the hallway stood a brand-new crib and stroller, and in the crib were several more bags, apparently with clothes. Oh, what did you... I don't have that kind of money. I don't know when I'll be able to pay you back. Lucas smiled. Strange creatures, women. Who's asking you to pay back? After dinner, Victoria and Lucas started rearranging furniture. Lucas was fooling around, and Victoria was laughing. Even Angelina, who was lying on the big bed, was trying to babble something in her own language. At night, Victoria couldn't sleep. Lucas couldn't sleep either. He suddenly realized that he felt so good right now. He wasn't alone in the house. Lucas propped himself up on his elbow. Well, some time would pass, and Victoria would want to return to her place. She was like that. She didn't want other people's things, and he understood perfectly that he didn't want her to leave. In the morning at breakfast, Lucas said casually, "We need to get married." The knife fell from Victoria's hands and rang as it bounced on the floor. What? What? We need to get married. Angelina needs a father, and you need protection. Victoria looked at him with huge eyes. I never thought proposals could be like this. Lucas put down his fork and looked at her. Well, what could he tell her? That he had fallen in love like an idiot with a woman with a child who washed dishes in his restaurant. He tried to find the right words, but Victoria suddenly reached across the table and kissed him. Softly, tenderly. Lucas felt like he'd been struck by lightning. He pulled her away from him. He took his phone. Can you manage without me there? I have an important meeting. I won't be there today. The dishwasher. Yes. Look for a new one. Victoria won't be coming back. If you like the story, please support me with a thumbs up button and to find out about new interesting stories, click the bell when subscribing. All the best to you.